Hello everyone and welcome to our webinar. My name is Magda Sochacka and at PCG Academia I'm responsible for cooperation with our partners that provide technology solutions to universities, Blackboard and Intelliboard among them. Please let me start by introducing our guests. Today we have with us Dr. Tonia Rainey and Mariana Lima Robson from Intelliboard. Tonia serves as the Chief Operations Officer of the company and Mariana is the Sales Director for Europe, Middle East and Africa. Hi Tonia, hi Mariana, nice to have you here. Hello. Today we'll talk about data analytics at universities. Already before the pandemic, many universities used LMS platforms such as Moodle or Blackboard to conduct their teaching and learning. In the pandemic, the use of such platforms only intensified. While providing environment for conducting courses, sharing materials with students and communicating with them, those platforms also gather huge amounts of data. This data can provide useful insights into teaching and learning processes and which can in turn lead to improvements in teaching quality, student engagement and also result in operational gains. We have asked Tonia and Mariana to talk about experiences of universities around the world that use Intelliboard, which is a data analytics tool that connects to different e-learning platforms. We are specifically interested in the benefits universities can get from using Intelliboard and the insights that can be obtained from the tool. At the end of the webinar, we'll also provide a short demo of Intelliboard. Please remember that as a part of pilot program we have prepared jointly with Intelliboard, we can now offer universities in Poland the possibility to pilot Intelliboard for a month completely free of charge. And we can connect the tool to your Moodle platform so that you can see your own data and see what insights you can get from them. We'll talk more about the pilot program at the end of the webinar. The whole webinar will be held in English. Live captions in Polish will be provided throughout the webinar. And I strongly encourage you to participate in the webinar by asking questions on the chat. At the end of our discussion, I'll ask the most interesting questions to our guests. The entire webinar will be recorded and will be posted on PCG's Academia website in several days from now. Today's webinar is the last one from this round of University of the Future series, but I would like to use this opportunity to invite you to our annual conference, Lumen, Leaders in University Management. The conference will take place on November 23rd and 24th in an online format. As always, we have prepared a program full of interesting panel discussions and presentations on the most current and important topics for the higher education in Poland. So I strongly encourage you to register and participate and hope to see you there. Now I think it's time to dive into our discussion, so I'll move on to questions. So let me start with really a basic one. What is Intelliboard, what it does, and what institutions currently use it around the world?
I'll take that one. What is Intelliboard? And Moodle is a beautiful learning management system. And it does so many things for open source. And it is magnificent in the data that it captures. It does have some shortcomings when it comes to reporting. And because of that, we are Intelliboard. So Intelliboard will provide the reporting and analytics directly from the Moodle database in real time. And it makes it easy from a point and click perspective to be able to access that data, as Magda, you referenced earlier, right? There's an enormous amount of data in that learning management system that people can use and harness to make learning better. And that's what we're all about, making learning better. So Intelliboard takes that data and allows people to capture it, share it, and most importantly, act on it.
Thank you, Tonia, for that explanation. And where is Intelliboard currently implemented? What universities, what institutions use it?
Globally. We are implemented globally. We have many in Europe. We have hundreds in the United States, if not thousands in the United States. And we have, we're new in APAC, the Asia Pacific market, but we already have almost 100 there as well. So it started primarily because Moodle was implemented in many universities and K-12 institutions. We started with that original focus on universities. And actually in the beginning, Intelliboard was created really by universities in the sense that the reporting that it provides, about 65 to 75% of that reporting was driven out by client request. So whatever universities needed to respond to, then we speak to that in terms of their request. And that's been pretty common across the globe. Most universities are looking for very similar reporting, retention, engagement, instructor engagement with students, all of those kinds of reporting types.
Thank you, Tonia. We'll definitely dive into it a bit later about exact uses of Intelliboard. But maybe
we have multiple case studies to share.
That's perfect, because I think that's what our audience would actually want to hear, how it's actually used at universities. But before we dive into those case studies and client stories, maybe it's worth talking about if there are actually any prerequisites for the implementation of Intelliboard. Does it make sense to implement only if, for institutions meeting certain characteristics? And maybe also, are there any challenges that universities face when implementing Intelliboard or similar tools, and how can those challenges be resolved? I know there is a lot in this question, but if you could comment on those things. And I think that Mariana, you would like to lead on that one.
Yes, of course. Thank you so much for this invitation for this event today. We are very happy to be here. And well, we are not going to be asking anything aside to the database type, because we are going to integrate with 3 different types of database. And other than that, Intelliboard is a local plugin, so Intelliboard will live inside our client's database, and we are going to operate from there. And the best part of it is that we are not storing our clients' data, and we are 100% GDPR compliant, which is very important for our clients here in Europe.
Thank you, Mariana. Yeah, GDPR is definitely one of the topics that occurs, that comes up in discussions with universities. And I think Tonia would like also to comment.
But I would. So part of the question that you asked was the implementation piece of it. It takes about 5 minutes to implement Intelliboard once the plugin is installed and connect to the Intelliboard database. And then are there any criteria, prerequisites? Absolutely none. There is all universities, all colleges, all K-12 institutions can benefit from harnessing the data that's inside of their system. It doesn't matter if there are 12 students or 12 million students. So we are here for that. Again, it takes 5 minutes and it's very easy to use, and we have an excellent client success support system to help you with it.
Thank you, Tonia. So I understand the only prerequisite is actually to have an e-learning platform or LMS in place that you can connect Intelliboard to, and that's enough for Intelliboard to work. Okay, so let me move to the next question, and I think that's one of the key ones. So, what benefits can universities can actually get from implementing Intelliboard, and how can analyzing data help universities to do what they do better? And if you could comment on that, please.
Let's use an example. For instance, if at a university we have multiple levels, we could talk about instructors, right? So if instructors have easy access to data, they have a very direct one-to-one relationship with how their students are performing, either within the course itself or on specific activities. We already know there's an incredible body of research that talks about how to loosely predict student success in a course. And one of those prediction factors is time spent, right? Either time spent in the course, time spent on the activity. And one of the items that Intelliboard provides is time tracking. Although Moodle has it, Intelliboard will add another layer on top of the Moodle LMS and ping the learner in the background approximately every 30 seconds. And so if the learner is not responding, then Intelliboard will shut off the clock. So a good example of this is that if I'm a student, I go into the learning management system of the course, and then I'm distracted or bored or whatever, and then I click open another tab and I watch YouTube for 2 hours. The Moodle system is not likely to time me out, but now I look like I've had 2 hours inside of the course. Intelliboard prevents that. So as Intelliboard would show, the student was in the course for 5 minutes, right? And then Intelliboard would time the student out. So it's giving a very accurate representation of the amount of time that the student is actually spending inside the course. So an instructor can see this information and be able to respond to that very quickly. Again, it's about actionable data. Let's talk about other layers of where people would use this, right? We know that we have instructional designers. We have people who are leading e-learning departments, and those people need to be able to see the behavior of the entire ecosystem. They need to be able to see how instructors are building courses, how they are interacting with their students, and to be able to improve that e-learning ecosystem in general. And then, of course, the leadership of the university itself, they need to know everything, right? They may need to have access to individual students. They may need to be able to track courses over time. They may need to compare courses. So if we have multiple sections of a communication course, for example, if there are multiple sections of that course, it would be important to be able to review and compare those courses against each other to identify the strongest tactics and strongest techniques for being able to create and deliver the best communication course. This also holds true for many other courses in other disciplines, for instance, chemistry or biology or psychology, any one of the science courses where multiple sections exist and that are critical, right? Because they are gateway courses to higher level programs, pre-med, any of those kinds of things. So those are the things that are important, right? And there are so many other access points in the United States and many places in Europe. There are institutional research areas where folks are using data to be able to implement, do research, whatever. So you've got institutional research areas. I mean, I can go on and on and on about that one specific area. I don't know how long I should talk about this because Intelliboard is implemented like everywhere. So just tell me when to be quiet.
So I think at this point we can thank you for this answer, and I think that we'll actually continue. But you've mentioned a lot of personas, let's call them, at universities that can use Intelliboard in different ways, basically, because although all of those personas, instructors or the university leaders are actually interested in different types of data. What about students? Because you've mentioned that Intelliboard can actually track the time that students spend on a course, and that's definitely can be interesting for instructors, but can actually students view their time spent and progress? Are there any reports that are student facing?
Mari, do you want to talk about the student dashboard?
Yes, sure. Among the different profiles that are using Intelliboard, we'll have usually the system administration, which is looking more site-wide. One of the main advantages of having Intelliboard is that people who are interested in seeing the aggregated data, so let's talk about the administration, the directors, they want to see information site-wide, and they will have this access using Intelliboard. So we'll have that profile inside the university. I want to see how many access I have in my site daily or hourly. I want to see what is the browser. I want to see from where people are connecting. So I don't want to see course by course. I want to see site-wide. Intelliboard will have this information for that profile. Then we usually have also the deans and the faculty coordinators. And those people want to see a specific courses. So for those people, we will also have a functionality that's called sub-account or IB users, where we can say, okay, this person will only see that specific data that's interested for them, because that specific role inside the university does not want to see everything, but also want to see their specific data that's from the courses they are responsible for. So then if we narrow a little bit down, then we'll see the instructor and the teacher, the lecturer, so the person that's taking care of the students. And for those students, they want to see the data, and we'll have these two profiles: the instructor dashboard that's living inside the LMS environment, the Moodle environment, open LMS environment. So then they can see the data about the students. So teachers can see graphs, they can see monitors, which is the graphic information. They can see reports and only about their students. And finally, we have the students dashboard. That's what initially Tonya asked me to talk about. So the students dashboard will display for students themselves the information about their progress, how they are doing. And then they will also have access to their grades, to their time spent. They can also see, and then we'll see by the end of the presentation, that this students dashboard is interactive. Students many times will struggle how to find the activity that's pending, the assignment, the quiz. At Intelliboard, they just need 2 clicks to find this activity, their assignment or quiz that are pending or due. They click, they go out of the dashboard, and they enter into the activity. So it really improves the experience for all different layers and all different profiles inside the university.
Thank you, Mariana, for complementing what Tonya has said before about those uses. And actually, I do have a question about other use case. So do you have experience where you have seen Intelliboard supporting compliance, so like mandatory reporting of universities to external authorities? Have you seen that happening? I do know that universities in Poland have to report a lot of data to the ministry and to external authorities, and I'm wondering if Intelliboard can actually support them in that as well.
We have a really great example of that in multiple places in the United States, but Poland is not unique when it comes to having to do government reporting. So a very good example of this is the North Carolina community college system. It has 58 colleges in the state of North Carolina and a centralized office. In the United States, in order to access state or federal funding, the universities have to do reporting, and that reporting is really centralized on the amount of time a student is in the course or in the class. So that could be the amount of time a student is actually physically present in a class, especially if it's a synchronous class, face-to-face, or the amount of time a student is in an online course. And so time tracking becomes very critical. But the North Carolina Community College system wanted a very specific report, specifically because they needed to have that report available to the state and federal government in order to get funding. At least one college in that system prior to Intelliboard had to return more than $1.5 million to the state because of its inaccurate reporting. So there is definitely a one-to-one relationship between accurate government reporting and dollars. So this was huge for the North Carolina Community College system. And there are multiple examples of how that system asks us to provide reporting that is critical to accessing government compliance, right, and all sorts of different options. And it's not even the North Carolina Community College system, right? Compliance reporting is everywhere. I mean, are you doing the job correctly? Are you doing the job at all? And so we provide globally.
Thank you, Tonia, for that response. Another one kind of connected to that also is whether Intelliboard is only about supporting remote learning or also on-campus learning, because in Poland many of those, like the typical use case of an LMS platform would be to support online learning, but I know it looks differently in different parts of the world. So if you could speak about that, and if Intelliboard can actually support both online and on campus.
It's all about how the learning management system is utilized, right? When I taught, I was a college professor and I taught 100 years ago, right? Everything was still inside of the learning management system. And that is becoming very much critical to the learning experience. As I talked about with the community college system, the goals for the community college system are now changing dramatically because they are working to support the student experience as much as possible. And that student experience may require not, okay, I'm enrolled in a face-to-face course and I need to go, right? Or I'm enrolled in an online course and I'm going to do it online, but that student experience may be one where I'm face-to-face one day and then I'm online the next because of certain experiences that happen in my day-to-day life. And a common example of that is childcare. If my childcare becomes jeopardized in some way, I'm no longer able to do the face-to-face class, so that all of the content must be accessible in the learning management system. Another very significant example of that is if I'm sick. And that's not going to change. And obviously the pandemic has altered global perceptions of what it means to be sick, even with a cold, right? Should you be going to a face-to-face class? So the significance, the importance of having all of that learning available for your learners to access it regardless of their situation is absolutely critical. And the more learning that is available in that learning management system is creating data that we can all access to make learning better. So yeah, it works face-to-face and it works online.
And I understand, and I think that's kind of important to stress that point, that it's a kind of two-way relationship. So Intelliboard can actually help you get more from your Moodle, from your LMS environment. So that's important. It's kind of enhancing those functionalities that are built in the LMS. But also, the more you use LMS, the more you can get out of things like reporting and like Intelliboard. And that means that if you actually base your courses, whether they are online or on campus, on LMS platform, and that's your central place for distributing of materials and other course content, then Intelliboard really can help you add more value to what you are doing. And it also allows you to be more flexible. So it's kind of two-way relationship where Moodle makes Intelliboard stronger, Intelliboard makes Moodle stronger. So I think that works in that way. And that's an interesting point also, because I know that many universities in Poland are now strategizing around their digital transformation and how they should, use different tools and so on. So I think that's one of the important points to stress, that if you do have a central place like an LMS for your coursework, then it helps you actually grow even further and enhance your teaching and learning process.
We're not going back.
Yep. Exactly. So another question, and that's kind of a point that's connected to what I just said. So how would you compare a university that already uses Moodle and just has Moodle, that has some reporting functionalities built into it, versus a university that has Moodle and then adds Intelliboard to the platform? So basically the question is getting those insights that you get from Intelliboard, is it possible using just Moodle and just maybe a bit more difficult and time consuming, or is it actually impossible to get those insights from Moodle itself, not using Intelliboard?
Mm-hmm.
It's actually both, right? So the main purpose of Intelliboard, right? We're reading the learning management system data, right? So it's inside of Moodle, it's there, and you can pull it out, and it's painful and it's difficult, but Moodle still captures on the Moodle data tables an incredible amount of data. So if you have the time and the patience and the knowledge and the expertise to be able to crawl through those databases, yes, you can pull a portion of the data. But again, as we talked about before, right, Intelliboard is adding a layer of time tracking to the Moodle data tables that is not currently present. And because of that, right, there is a nuance of engagement that is not currently present in the Moodle database. So it's really both. The answer is really both for that.
So basically some reporting is just made faster and easier, and some reporting using just Moodle is impossible, and that's where Intelliboard adds big value as well. Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
And I would like now to move on to the core of our discussion, so the actual experience of different universities around the world, in Europe and otherwise, using Intelliboard. So if you could, I think that's really important for universities that in Poland that are considering adopting Intelliboard, connecting it to Moodle, how different universities use it, what's their experience, what's the value add that they get from Intelliboard. So if you could speak to those case studies, so to say, that would be great.
Yes, sure. It's interesting that I have chosen 3 universities from the various list of universities that we have. And some of the points or pain points, that's what we call the reason why they came to us, we already have spoken during this conversation. So the first one I wanted to talk about is one very big university in Finland that came to us about 3 years ago. We were in a conference with Tanya in the UK, and whenever they saw Intelliboard and what we did and what we do, we already did at that time, they told us it takes us 3 days to get those reports, and with you we only need 2 clicks to get those reports. And why? because just like we were talking about the last question, if you try to get those reports from Moodle, you will be there for hours and hours and hours because you need to get course by course report or activity by activity report. And they were looking at a way to get those reports easier. And that's one of the reasons why those universities will come to us, because they are doing this work manually. And many times I will say, very sure, they are still doing that because they don't know about us. Because once they get to know about us, they will come running to us, since we can deliver site-wide, just as I just said before. Not going course by course to get that report, but just clicking to select all courses in our interface, in our web app, and getting a full report in 2 minutes, downloading it, having it, scheduling it. So that university in Finland told us, you made our lives so much easier, because all the student progress report that they would have to get, to analyze, to get to know what is their retention, and to get to know and spot at-risk students. They were doing this work manually. And whenever they get Intelliboard, they are using this data daily. And it's so much easier to get from Intelliboard. Not sure if you have some comment about it, Magda. I also have 2 more cases to share. Not sure if Tanya has some comments, so let me know if you'd like to comment something. Otherwise, I can go and jump to the next use case.
Basically, well, a short comment I think is that it's very interesting what you've said, and that's, yeah, like it's very impressive also that some reporting that takes days to gather can actually be available in 2 minutes. And I think it's very useful for different personas also at universities. I know for many academics that are lecturers, it's time is of essence, and they are very busy between dividing the time between teaching and doing scientific work and research, and that's, I think, that around the world that's a challenge that academics face. So anything that can actually cut down like the administration, getting the data and so on, it shows basically the benefit, and it shows, I think, one of the core things in that when you invest in technologies like that, you actually invest in people and invest in making things easier and time savings essentially, and that time can be used more productively, and either for research or for actually like looking at those insights that you get, and basically for continuous improvement of the courses and of the student experience and of the learning and teaching process itself. So thank you for that one. And yeah, if you could continue with the next one.
Okay, all right. So the second case that I brought is from one of the best universities in Spain that is using OpenLMS. They are our clients for almost 3 years now. And the reason why they came to us is for another question we just had before about giving reporting to authorities. They need to send weekly reports every Monday. And these reports contains site-wide information about how many access they had during the past week, how many activities were completed over the last week, and every time they had to get all this data, and they need to have some estimated data because they didn't have Intelliboard, because Intelliboard will add so many better insights. And then they came to us, they started using Intelliboard. It's a very big university, and they don't need to worry anymore because Intelliboard has a functionality that they can schedule those reports. So there are about 2 reports that they schedule to receive every Monday, and also a monitor set that will bring to them how many sessions. Sessions is something that we are tracking as well. So this university is getting how many sessions they had on the last 7 days, how many activity completions they had, how many visits, so clicks they had. So what was the activity inside the LMS, the open LMS in that case, site-wide. So it's not by course. I could have by course if I wanted inside Intelliboard, but it's really site-wide. And this is one university they need us. They are using us every Monday at least. They get these reports. They are good for the week because they need, for the local authorities, they need to report that data on the usage of the learning environment because they are having this blended learning. So they have, as a public university, they have to prove that the students are using the learning environment. So that's it. Not sure if you'd like to comment something about
Yes,
it.
definitely. So what you just said, it is about compliance, something that we've talked about before. And actually, I think important issue here is that I'm sure that this reporting looks different from country to country and maybe even like from university to university. So I understand that clients can use already reports that are already built into the tool. But let's say a Polish university has specific needs either connected to, you know, the compliance part, or they basically want to see something that is not part of a report. What then can you support universities in building their own reports, in or building new ones essentially?
Yes, and in terms of building reports, yes, but also more importantly, this is kind of a preview in our next iteration of Intelliboard, which will be called Intelliboard Next, and should be available by, I would say, April or May of next year or earlier. The universities will be able to pull in their student information system data in addition to the learning management system data, and then create any report they want from any of those fields that are available from all of that data. So yeah, they'll be able to pull and do any report. For folks who want to build reports now in our existing platform, we have two types of builders. If you know SQL, you can do that via the SQL builder. Or if you don't know SQL, like me, I know nothing about that, you can use our visual builder to build your own reports.
Thank you. I think that's very important in that I'm sure that when Polish universities adopt Intelliboard, then there will be some specific needs and then it's clear that Intelliboard can easily cater for those. And I believe, Mariana, you mentioned that you have 3 case studies, and I think you talked about 2, so there is one that remains. So if you could please continue.
That's correct. That's correct. I'm very happy about this use case that I'm talking now. It is one of the best universities in France. It's a public university, very big university. And they came to us because what they want to do is to improve the relationship between teachers and students. And we have the right solution for that. We have something called the teacher's dashboard, the instructor dashboard. So what we did is that our plugin, our solution is plug and play. You get it, you connect it, you can have your teacher's dashboard in place in 10 minutes. But they wanted to go further and they wanted to personalize that teacher's dashboard. So what we did is that we changed some of the features of the teacher's dashboard. They wanted to make something really for them so that their teachers would be using. So we prepared that teacher's dashboard for them. We then decided, based on what they were reporting to us, they said, we wanted to see this data, we wanted to see that data. So we And this is part of our support service at your service, that we are onboarding our clients and giving everything they need. So they came to us and said, this is the kind of information that we would like our teachers to have access to. So what we did is that we selected the best reports that we have to make it available in this instructor dashboard. And now they have in place this new dashboard for their teachers to see their students' progress, to see the students that are not progressing, to see the students that have been inactive. They also can see the quality of the content that they are creating inside courses, because we will have reports that will bring up how many times the students accessed that activity, in which activities the students spent more time, or which activities the students spent less time. And teachers have the opportunity to have their own analytics, not about every course, not about every student, but about their courses and their students. It doesn't require CSV upload, it doesn't require 2 days implementation, nothing. We have this dashboard that's completely integrated inside our the Moodle environment. It's inside our plugin. So once inside our plugin, then we will implement the teacher's dashboard by checking a box, and then we can personalize this teacher's dashboard, make it just the way we want, taking out some graphs if we don't want to see them, and make it just as we wish to our teachers. It will take about 5 minutes to have it there to all the teachers, and then it will take half an hour to personalize and just have the information that I want my teachers to see. For example, in the US, there will be a grade system that's showed by letters, A, B, C. Usually we are using numbers, so then we hide the letters and we leave the number. So this kind of customization will be easily done, and we supported this university with all the sessions of this onboarding program, and now they have a very nice dashboard for their teachers to access the data from their courses, and also to check and track their students' progress.
Thank you, Mariana, for this use case. I think it's like great to hear, because it actually touches on two things that we've spoken about earlier. So the customization and how easy it is to customize those reports to your own needs, but also to those quality enhancements. That it's actually not just some IT reporting that functions at a university and is just about statistics, but it actually can lead to improvements of the teaching process, and in the way that teachers can actually look at how the course is accessed by the students, which activities they spend time on, and build on that. And I do know that academics are quite busy, so it's hard to really analyze this student by student, which is of course possible without Intelliboard, but time consuming. And this gives you like at a glance view, and at will really view, that you said that the teachers can access at any time, and can really use that to build better courses and for continuous improvement. So that sounds really nice, how you can connect that to actually quality improvements. You also mentioned about support that Intelliboard offers to universities. So if you could describe maybe in more detail, how do you support universities or their journey with Intelliboard? And I guess especially at the beginning, the support is important. So if you could talk a little bit about that, that would be great.
Right.
When
Our support,
you contract with us, do you want to take it, or do you want me to take it?
Oh, no. Yes, take it, please. I already spoke a lot.
So when you contract with us, we have an entire client success team, and then we also have adoption managers. So the client success team would help usher you through your onboarding process, and we have a number of sessions, usually it adds around, it's about 4 sessions, and most people don't even use 4 sessions before they leave us and start running the product. So that we are there. We have an incredible chat service if people need to reach us at any other time. We welcome people to schedule sessions with us. We have multiple webinars that talk about different features of the product. So we are very, very focused and very dedicated to making sure that everyone gets from Intelliboard what they want and what they need. More importantly, once you begin a relationship with us, you have a what we call an adoption manager or a relationship manager. So that person is your main point of contact and works to ensure that every person within the institution can use Intelliboard and maximize Intelliboard in every way possible. So we are very, very dedicated to our client success.
Thank you, Tonia, for that
We are
response.
so proud.
And I think it's important also to stress that we as PCG, as your Polish partner, can serve as an interface between your support and Polish clients, so that if the support is needed in Polish, we can definitely do that and kind of use Intelliboard vast experience of cooperating with numerous universities around the world, but kind of translate it into Polish and translate it also in the needs of the local universities. So that's how we, as partners, want to cooperate to deliver good value to universities in Poland. We don't have much time left, but I still wanted to ask a question about what, Tonia, you have already mentioned. So what comes next? So basically, how do you plan to further expand your offering and to still better support universities? And what you mentioned is very interesting, especially that PCG also delivers SIS systems to universities. So being on our data, I hear it can be found in Intelliboard soon. So if you could maybe talk more about that, please.
Intelliboard Next is an incredible platform. One thing, I wanted a better word, one thing that's missing for all universities, right, is that data is coming from multiple sources of input. So you've got learning management system data, you have SIS data, student information system data, and then you also have multiple tools that everyone is using to be able to facilitate learning, right? A good example of that might be if you have publisher content, if you're using a product like Kaltura, or any one of the other e-learning tools that can integrate with the learning management system, right? Sometimes those tools do write back to the Moodle database, but sometimes they don't. And when they do not, there's an enormous wealth of data that is missing if it's being captured. So our goal is to bring all of that data together under one umbrella and then be able to present it as people need to see it, and to provide predictive analytics based on all of these sources of data. And yeah, we're growing. We're definitely growing.
It's very interesting to hear what you've planned for the future, and also we are excited to see that Intelliboard Next in action. And finally, my last question is: what can you offer to Polish universities specifically? And yeah, again, here we are a partner that can definitely support you. But if you could just comment on it from the Intelliboard point of view, that would be great. And that's our last question. So
obviously, we contribute to making e-learning better. So we offer our whole suite of products to Polish universities. We highly encourage everyone to do the free trial. We can certainly provide access to our publicly available demo site, but there is nothing more incredible or more magic than being able to see the data from your own learning management system. It's amazing.
Thank you, Tonia. So I think our time is up, so thank you so much for being here with us and for your interesting responses. And I think we can now move straight to the demo, but before we do that, I would like to talk a bit more about the pilot program. So we can offer now you a unique opportunity to test Intelliboard completely free of charge, and we can connect the tool to the Moodle platform used by your university for a month, so you can test really the tool in action. We won't just give you the tool and ask you to use it. We'll also provide you with all the necessary training and support, so you can really understand how the tool works, and you are able to get the most of the tool and really see it working. And you can find out more about the program either through our website or contacting us directly. So I strongly encourage you to do that. So that's the end of our webinar, of our discussion. So thank you, Tonia and Mariana, again for your participation, and also big thank you to our audience for being with us today. I do hope that our guests provided you with some food for thought regarding data analytics at your universities. And please just stay with us for a couple of minutes more. We've prepared a short demo of Intelliboard tool. And thank you, goodbye, and hopefully see you soon at the Lumen conference. Thank you so much,
everyone.
Thank you, bye.
Teraz pokażę Państwu Intelliboarda na naszym środowisku testowym opartym o Moodle. W systemie Intelliboard wyróżniamy 3 role dostępowe. Możemy mieć dostęp jako administrator systemu, jako wykładowca, a także jako student. Zarówno wykładowca, jak i student mają dostępnego Intelliboarda bezpośrednio ze swojej platformy e-learningowej. I tak jako wykładowca ze strony moich kursów wchodzę w pulpit wykładowcy. Po wejściu w pulpit widzę różne wykresy i informacje. Mogę zmienić zakres tych danych oczywiście. I na pierwszym wykresie mam informacje o studentach zarejestrowanych na przedmiotach, które prowadzę, a także o studentach, którzy te przedmioty ukończyli. Poniżej z kolei mam wykres, który pokazuje korelację pomiędzy czasem spędzonym na kursie, a otrzymanymi ocenami. Tutaj widzę, że niektórzy studenci poświęcili sporo czasu, a oceny otrzymali niezbyt wysokie. Jest to dla mnie taki sygnał, że być może przyczyna tych ocen jednak jest jakaś inna i trzeba to zbadać. W tym miejscu chciałabym wyjaśnić sposób, w jaki Intelliboard liczy czas spędzony na kursie, ponieważ jest to zdecydowanie jego wyróżnik. Otóż Intelliboard sprawdza na przykład co 30 sekund, czy użytkownik jest aktywny i przez aktywny rozumiane jest, czy rusza myszką, czy klika w obszarze kursu. Jeżeli tak, to oczywiście liczymy ten czas. Jeżeli natomiast przez 60 sekund nie ma takiego dowodu na aktywność, to czasomierz zostaje wyłączony. Co ciekawe, aktywność dotyczy również na przykład oglądania filmów osadzonych na platformie. Na kolejnym wykresie widać, które aktywności są wśród studentów najpopularniejsze, na które studenci poświęcają najwięcej czasu, bo są najbardziej angażujące bądź najbardziej wymagające. A na samym dole widzę jeszcze wykres, tutaj przefiltruję go po wybranym przedmiocie, który pokazuje dla danego przedmiotu, jak wyglądały oceny z poszczególnych aktywności. Wykładowca ze swojego pulpitu ma dostępne jeszcze 2 zakładki. Kursy. Na tej zakładce znajduje się lista przedmiotów wykładowcy z wieloma informacjami. Tutaj widzę na przykład, ile czasu też studenci poświęcali na tych kursach, ile jest kliknięć, czyli wizyty w kursie, ile taki przedmiot ma sekcji. I również, co ciekawe, wykładowca z tego poziomu może bezpośrednio przejść na poziom aktywności bądź poziom studentów i zobaczyć, jak te dane wyglądają dla poszczególnych studentów w danym kursie. Tak jak wspominałam, jest to nasza platforma demo z fikcyjnymi danymi, ale na Państwa rzeczywistych danych raporty, które prezentuję, będą zdecydowanie ciekawsze. Druga zakładka z kolei to monitory. Tutaj dostępne są grafiki, które mogą być konfigurowane przez administratora. Ja wybrałam akurat statystyki dotyczące moich przedmiotów, czyli na przykład liczba modułów, aktywności. Tu z kolei jest wykres, który pokazuje, ile jest kliknięć na wizyt na poszczególnych przedmiotach, czyli które z nich są najbardziej popularne. I jeszcze jeden wykres, który pokazuje, jak wygląda ruch na tych przedmiotach, czyli w których dniach i w których godzinach jest on najbardziej intensywny. To jest dla mnie taka ciekawa informacja, ponieważ jeżeli wiem, że ten ruch tutaj w tym przypadku jest najbardziej intensywny we wtorek rano, mogę zdecydować, że opublikuję moje materiały w poniedziałek po południu, tak żeby jak największa liczba studentów mogła się z nimi zapoznać. Przejdę teraz do roli studenta. Student też właśnie bezpośrednio z platformy, ze strony kursów ma dostępny pulpit studenta. I po wejściu w pulpit widzę przede wszystkim swoją ocenę, ocenę swoją, ale również ocenę średnią grupy, co daje mi takie porównanie, jak radzę sobie właśnie na tle całej grupy. W tym przypadku widzę, że całkiem nieźle, bo mój wynik jest wyższy niż ta średnia. Tu z kolei poniżej widzę listę przedmiotów z lewej strony oraz z prawej listę aktywności, które podlegają ocenie. I tak dla każdego przedmiotu student ma informację, ile ma ukończonych aktywności, a ile aktywności jeszcze przed nim jest i czeka na ukończenie, jaka jest jego ocena, kiedy został zarejestrowany. Natomiast dla aktywności widzi oceny oraz termin oddania konkretnego zadania czy pracy. I co wygodne dla studenta, może on bezpośrednio z tego miejsca przejść do tego zadania w kursie i złożyć pracę. Czyli nie musi tego zadania szukać, tylko od razu z tego miejsca przechodzi. Student ma dostępne też jeszcze dwie zakładki, kursy, na której widać listę przedmiotów, też z informacjami o o stopniu ukończenia, o średniej ocenie grupy, a także o czasie spędzonym na tym przedmiocie. Tutaj jest to forma takich kafli, ale może być to też forma listy. I druga zakładka, właściwie już trzecia, oceny. Tutaj student widzi listę przedmiotów, która pomaga mu się zorientować, jak sobie radzi na tych kursach. Widzę też średnią właśnie ocenę grupy, swoją ocenę, liczbę ukończonych aktywności i ocenę ogólną. Na koniec pokażę Państwu jeszcze, jak wygląda oczywiście doświadczenie administratora systemu. Tutaj jestem zalogowana jako administrator i to jest właśnie już Intelliboard zewnętrzny. Po zalogowaniu widzę pewne statystyki dotyczące całej platformy, ilu mamy użytkowników, ile przedmiotów, ile modułów czy kategorii. Tutaj z kolei wykres, który już Państwo widzieli, zagregowane wizyty, kliknięcia według dnia i pory dnia. A tu poniżej jest lista podsumowująca aktywność wszystkich użytkowników z ich ocenami, kliknięciami i czasem spędzonym na platformie. Dla administratora najważniejsze dwa moduły to monitory i raporty. Oczywiście. I zacznijmy może od monitorów. Administrator może sam nowe monitory tworzyć i udostępniać je wybranym osobom czy rolom użytkowników. Może je również pobierać tutaj w różnych formatach. Teraz przejdę do zakładki raporty. Intelliboard posiada ponad 130 raportów i żeby łatwiej je było odnaleźć, podzielone są one na kategorie użytkownicy, kursy, aktywności oraz dodatkowe. I tutaj pokażę przykładowy raport związany ze studentami, pokazujący właśnie ich postępy. Są tu dostępne następujące informacje: oceny studentów, liczba ukończonych aktywności, liczba wizyt, kliknięć oraz czas spędzony. Mogę tu też oczywiście te dane filtrować i zobaczyć na przykład studentów, którzy otrzymali najwyższe oceny. Mogę pobrać te dane w różnych formatach i mogę też je przesłać wybranym użytkownikom w formie maila, a także w formie powiadomienia. Na koniec powiem właśnie o powiadomieniach. W centrum notyfikacji administrator ma możliwość ustawienia powiadomienia warunkowego. Dzięki temu, na przykład jeżeli studenci nie są aktywni przez więcej niż 2 tygodnie, zostanie wysłane powiadomienie do wykładowcy, które będzie miało na celu zwrócenie jego uwagi na brak tej aktywności i zachęcenie go do zalogowania się do systemu i przejrzenia tym danym. Takie powiadomienie będzie otrzymywał na przykład w każdy poniedziałek. Dziękuję bardzo za uwagę.